Oh, welcome our friends and viewers. We appreciate you joining with us today. And this is the first Sunday of June. Can you imagine this? The time gets by so quickly. June, the sixth month of the year, uh, and which is part of what we're going to look at today in the scriptures, how God made things for seasons and times. And here we are in the middle of our year of 2021. What about that? And the month of June is now upon us. We're here. May flew by. I mean, it went by in a hurry. Here we are, enter into the summer months, and June is here. And people will be doing different things throughout the summer, and it's a good time. God has made it to be that way. And some of us are going to do some sweating and as we work, and that's good for us. That's good for us. But today we'll get on into the scriptures and we'll look into verse number 14 of Genesis chapter 1, the fourth day of creation. What did God make on the fourth day of creation? God said, "Let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs, for seasons, and for days and years." What about that? And still, so today. You can go out at this and look at the stars at night wherever you may live. You'll see certain constellations up there visible. And you go out in the wintertime, you'll see they've moved. You'll see others there, signs and times. And the ancients who used to guide the ships across the seas would use the stars to navigate by. And they knew, they'd studied those stars and had knew that they changed and that they could follow them. And the nomads of the deserts would use those stars at night and the sun by day to guide them across the deserts, because they had to find their small bit of water to be able to get across the desert. So very important. And at night time they would get out, and they still do this, some of these nomadic tribes do, and they'll study the heavens for guidance, and they'll figure those stars out and where they need to be going, because they have to find the water to get across the desert. Well, God has made these bodies and set them into being in the sky above our heads, and for light tonight, and also for signs and for seasons, and for days and for years. And that's the way we mark our calendars, by the way, is with these things. And the life the planet life that God has made. And then we read on right here in verse 15. "And let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth." And it was so. What about that? And God made it. And let's read on. "And God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also. And God set them in the firmament of the heavens to give light upon the earth, and to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good. And the evening and the morning were the fourth day." What about that? We read here, God created the stars, and has set them in the firmament above. He made the stars also. This lesser light, which we know is the moon, to rule by night, and the greater light, which is the sun, He made to rule by day. And He divided the two, because He saw that it was good to divide the light from the darkness, and the night from the day. And we live in a world which is better for us when we work in the daytime, we sleep at night. It's better. I know some people work the midnight shift, and it's a job, and they have to do that. But I guarantee you that it's much better when we work at the day and we sleep at night. Always much better. And as we study the Bible here, we find that these lights which were given to be upon the earth at night, what a blessing that is. I mean, it would be a vast expanse of just darkness beyond comprehension if there was no light at night at all, because the greater light is on the other side of the planet. And God has done this to give us this light at night. And so it's such an important thing, and God has done this to make it good. As I said before, don't let somebody try to tell you that the earth can't be young because of light from the stars taking so many years to get here. Don't believe that at all. He said exactly where God made them. The Bible says He set them in the firmament of the heavens to give light upon the earth. Perhaps He made them here and sent them out there. Remember that nobody can measure creation because nobody was here when it took place. How long did it take God to do this? How long did it take Him to create one star, to move that star, and to put it into another part of heaven? Nobody actually knows that. We do know the Bible says He stretched heavens out. He's unrolled them as a scroll. We certainly know that He has done that. And so I think, again, as I've said before, I believe that the Lord has stretched these stars out, or just sent them out and set them. That implies movement, to say that He set them. He has set them in the firmament as He saw fit, as He saw it was good. And so there again, that would account for the time frame of light coming from the stars to the earth. And but let's look on at this. A blessing that it is that God has made things that way, for us to have a night and a day, and no doubt for all things to rest. Some are nocturnal, some stay awake at night, sleep in the daytime. Others, we do better to work in the daytime, sleep in the night. And so it is. Let's look on into the fifth day of creation, animal life. Verse 20, and God said, let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creature, the half-life, and fowl that may fly above the earth in the open firmament of heaven. And this is referring here to the sea creatures, and also birds. And God created great whales, verse 21, and every living creature that moveth, which the waters brought forth abundantly, after their kind, and every winged fowl after his kind. And God saw that it was good. Now, let's read another verse. We'll talk about it a little bit. And God blessed them, saying, be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters in the seas, and let fowl multiply in the earth. And the evening and the morning were the fifth day. Now, I'm sure some of you probably been to the seaside, the seashore. It's amazing to go there. I love to go occasionally. I don't think I'd really care to live by the ocean side. But when you go there, you'll see seashells. They're washed up, and little bitty animals. The birds come down and eat and carry away. I mean, more than you could ever count. Little bitty seashells, which is some part of the life of sea. And of course, we know that out in the ocean are great whales, even to this day. And in spite of all that man has done to harm the planet, there are still multitudes and multitudes of fishes in the ocean, which fishermen catch all the time, and thankfully, and we enjoy to eat. And it's an endless cycle. It's amazing how that these animals, whether they be the fish in the seas or the fowls above it, how that interrelates together. Thousands and thousands of species of birds that live around the ocean. Every time I go to the ocean, you'll see birds that are there walking upon the seashore, feeding and getting food from what's washed up. I mean, it's of a magnitude of which you couldn't number that. I've never seen anybody number that. The number of birds, the number of fishes, either one, that exist in the ocean. And it's just amazing. All these creatures that have life, and the moving creatures that have life, the Bible tells us about. Every winged fowl after his kind. Now notice this, you keep finding right here how that these are to reproduce after his kind, and so it is. You find no crossover between the species. You may find some variance within the species, but you don't find any crossovers within it, because God has made it to be that way. He has made it to be that way. The fish reproduce fish, and birds reproduce birds, and so it is. And so it's been since the dawning of creation, when God made it. And we're blessed, and these fish and these birds provide much food for us, many other items too that we use in our life here. And we're greatly blessed that God has made it to be that way. And those that go down to the sea and to catch fish and bring them to us, and the many other things that we get from the ocean, we're blessed in those regards, greatly blessed. We'll read on to the sixth day of creation, how he makes the earth to bring forth. Verse 24, and God said, let the earth bring forth the living creature after his kind, cattle and creeping things, and the beasts of the earth after his kind. And it was so. Now here's the sixth day of creation, and this time right here, animals appear upon the earth. Animals. I think this is the lions, the tigers, the bears, the cattle. Cattle are mentioned, and they all reproduce, even to this day, after their own kind. You can't get them all mixed up. I know some guys point out, well, look at the mule, which is a cross between a horse and a donkey. But the mule can't reproduce because God has made them to reproduce after their own kind. And so you get a variant within this species called a mule, some other things, but still no change of the species, no change. And it was so. And God made the beast of the earth after his kind, cattle after their kind, everything that creepeth upon the earth after his kind. And God saw that it was good. Now, the scientists who study biology and plant life and animal life, they tell us how that the ecosystem works, and how that all the little animals and the creeping things, how they all have a part in it. You've studied the food chain, how that we'd have a log jam for sure. But God has made it good, and so it is good the way he has made things. And the more we can learn of how God has made things and adapt ourselves to that, the better off that we are. I'm not one of these nutty environmentalists, not for a minute, not for 1 minute. And like I've said many times before, I do not worship the trees nor the green grass. But we'd do well not to destroy all the trees. We'd do very well not to plow up all the green grass and pour it with concrete. We'd do well to leave the streams basically intact. We'd do well not to monkey with the earth no more than what is reasonable, no more than what is necessary. And we'd do well not to destroy some of the species. And I'm not for stopping the loggers from cutting a tree that an owl sets in for a minute. No, sir. That owl can find another tree to live in. Absolutely. I do not agree with these nuts that go out and chain themselves to the trees and try to stop the logger from cutting trees and doing his job. I do not practice that. I do not agree with that. God has made it where we can harvest the trees, and that owl doesn't care which tree he sleeps in. So don't you get to feeling bad for him. He'll find another tree. And another tree will grow where that logger cut that one tree out. And so it is replenishable, is what I'm saying. And God has made it to be that way. And so we could do well to keep track and to remember that God has made the heaven and the earth, and we should do well to respect it and to use it to his glory and to his honor in a way that's pleasing unto the Lord, and certainly not to destroy it. We do not need to contaminate our lakes and our water nor our air. I know some of these laws they've got are plumb nutty, and because that's the government making those, and some of these government nuts don't know what they're doing. Perhaps we'd do better if we had other people to make some of these laws regarding our environment. But nonetheless, I think we're better off trying than we are not trying. Some of these countries that pollute the air, it's a terrible place to live in. Some of these cities in China, where it's just like everything is so dirty because of the sludge, and because of the atmosphere, and because of the industries that are dumping out their smoke and their smog all over the world. And no doubt their people suffer greatly from breathing all that stuff in, the smog. Some of our American cities used to be very, very bad. I think they're better than what they've ever been. But we'd do well to regard the creation in the respect of which God would have us to regard it in. Well, it's our time is gone, and I appreciate you joining with us. I hope these are a blessing to you. I pray that God will bless you in all that you do, and may He bless you and all your families. My depth of my prayer.
tell